Hello, so welcome to another reading vlog. I have not been vlogging for a little while, or even reading very much, mainly because I'm back at work. I have, other than the first day though, been able to work at home, so I think, there's not a lot of reason why I haven't been doing things after work, except that, I'm learning a whole new role. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't know about my work from my previous role that I now need to know, and it's just a lot in my brain, and I don't really have room in my brain for other things. However, I've done 4 days of work now, so Thursday and Friday last week, and Monday and Tuesday this week. So I think I'm ready to get back into reading. I have actually read half of a couple of things since I've been back at work. So firstly, I've been listening to the 8th book in the Skullduggery Pleasant series. This one is called Last Stand for Dead Men. To be honest, I am so bored. I don't care about any of the stuff that's happening. It's all this battle between the kind of different magical leadership groups in the different countries, and honestly, I don't care. So many characters I don't care that it's spending all this time on, and it's just annoying. And you know what also annoys me about that series? Sometimes it feels like it's hinting at a romantic relationship between Valkyrie and Skullduggery. And since he's her mentor and brought her into this magical world, if that is a romantic relationship, then that is grooming and that is gross. I don't like it. But at the same time, I don't think it's going that way. Surely it wouldn't go that way. But there's just some lines where I'm like, really? What are you doing there? But anyway, I guess I'm not surprised that I'm bored with this, but I am frustrated because the very end of the 7th book, the last book that I read, set up something really amazing, and that one I actually quite enjoyed, more than I have some of the other ones. So I thought maybe this one would be good. But that thing that it set up at the end, it's barely even touched in it. Pretty much not at all. There's been a couple of little hints of things, but not really. So now I don't even know. Is it probably going to be covered in the 9th book, which is the end of this first arc? Because it was quite a long time after the 9th book, I think, until the 10th book was released. And it was kind of a whole new part of the series. So I don't know. But anyway, I am only about halfway through that. I'm going to go for a run after this. Is it raining again? It rained awfully this morning and last night. But I think it had stopped. But now I'm hearing some very rainy type sounds. I'll have to check. Oh no, I've dropped everything on the ground. I'm too tired for this. The other thing that I have been reading is an ebook called And Then I Woke Up by Malcolm Devlin. So this is a story kind of about a zombie apocalypse, but in this world, it's not actually the zombies that are infected, because the zombies are just what the infected people think is around them. And instead, the infected people kind of become infected with this narrative, and they start believing that certain things are happening around them. And we're primarily following this man who is now in a psychiatric care facility after he's realized that all these people he killed thinking they were zombies were not actually zombies at all. And he's kind of just telling us a bunch of stories about what happened to him, and also going on a bit of a new adventure. So I'm enjoying that so far, actually. I really like the writing style, and this idea of the narrative is a really interesting twist on zombies. So again, I'm about halfway through that. I'll try and read some more of that tonight. I've been going quite slow with it so far, but honestly that's nothing to do with the book. It's more to do with my mental state. So what I have done though is I've got myself a bunch of books to read this week that are all easy. Now this looks like too much to read in a week, especially since it's already Tuesday night, but we'll see how we can manage. Some of these will be super quick. So for example, I've got Junji Ito's Cat Diary. So this is a story about Junji Ito moving in with his fiancée and discovering that she's a cat person and he is not a cat person. Hijinks ensue, I assume. This is just a short little graphic comic type thing. So that should be super quick to read. Then I also have this Eat the Rich, which I think might be zombies again. I kind of don't know. I had in my head that it was a zombie comic thing. I'm flipping through looking for zombies, even though that could be spoilers. I thought it was a zombie comic thing, and some kind of rich people get what they deserve, but I don't really know. So I'm going to read this. It was written by Gailey, who is an author I really enjoy, so I'm hoping I'll love that. I do also have 3 longer books, but they are all middle grade books, so they should be easier. The first 2 are these books in the Whetū series by Steph Matuku. I don't know much about this, except there's some kid and some kind of ram getting in trouble, something to do with the moon and a magician. So I'm excited to read that. I have really enjoyed some stuff by Steph Matuku before, so that's a good sign as well. And then the other one I've got is the sequel to Watch Hollow by Gregory Funaro. I read the first book in this series a few weeks back, and I decided to pick up the next book straight away so that I'm not getting more behind on series. So this is about this family that went to look after this clockwork house, this house that was run by this clock, and there were all these animals that are kind of like built into the clock, and there's also like a scary dark alchemist thing going on with the forest. I really loved it. It was really magical. The family and the animals were really adorable. I don't know what the sequel's going to be about, but it's called The Alchemist's Shadow, so I'm excited to read that one as well. Hopefully I can get through all of these this week since they're easy. The one thing about me being back at work is I am only working 4 days, so I do have Friday off. But I'll probably end up using Friday to like catch up on video stuff, housework stuff, and just like all the rest of life that I've become incapable of doing now that I'm back at work. But also, hopefully, as my brain gets around to understanding everything that's going on at work, my brain power for other things will return. We'll see, anyway, how that works out. Hello, so unsurprisingly, I've kind of been sucking at vlogging while I've been back working, but today is Friday, and I don't have to work, which is kind of weird, especially because I have a lot of things on my work to-do list, but I'm going to try not to think about them today. Jason's going to come around in a bit and we're going to go and enjoy the sunshine. But I thought I'd give you an update on where I'm at with my reading. So firstly, I finished off Last Stand for Dead Men, and it kind of redeemed itself at the end. There is a part where it kind of brings in that thing that I'm interested in. It's doing something with that, not what I expected, but maybe I like it. I do think though, the main character, I'll call her Stephanie, even though if you're at this part in the series, you know that's kind of confusing, but Stephanie, she's kind of annoying me. There was a part where she was like demanding that Skullduggery make water for her in the desert, and she didn't even say please or ask nicely. She was just like demanding it, and I was like, wow, what a bitch. And not liking her is really not helping with keeping me connected to the story. But still, right at the end, some interesting things happened, I guess, with the element that I'm interested in. So hopefully in the 9th book, which is kind of the final book in some ways, because the next book wasn't released for a long time after that, and I think it's kind of a different story. So things should be pretty much wrapped up in the next book. So I'm going to listen to the audiobook of that soon, maybe sometime this weekend. I have also started listening to the audiobook of Atomic Habits. It's super short, so I thought it would be an easy one and like motivate me to get my life sorted out while, you know, still working and having that take up all my time. And so far I am enjoying it. Not exactly new concepts to me, but good to kind of get a bit more depth into it, and just a good reminder of how important it is to have good systems. So far I'd recommend it, but I'm not very far in, so I'll keep going with that as well. I did read a couple of these graphic novels. So firstly, I read Junji Ito's Cat Diary. Basically, it's the story of him moving in with his fiancée, and his fiancée is a cat person while he is a dog person, so he struggles to kind of get along with these cats. Although he does get along with them in the end. So it was okay, but I did feel like some of the later stories in it were not that interesting. It was more the introduction that was quite fun. But one thing that I did get from this is that Japanese people have the concept of used houses. So in most countries I'm aware of, you don't really talk about houses being used because of course they're used. You might call out that a house is a new build, that it's new, but you're not usually going to say it's a used house because most houses are used houses. Whereas in Japan, apparently, most people will build their own house maybe once or twice. In fact, the government mandates that houses depreciate over 22 years. So that's weird. And also, apparently, there's 8.5 million empty houses in Japan. I don't know how that compares to other countries, but that whole way of dealing with houses is just totally bizarre to me. It seems kind of wasteful, but I did read an article kind of pointing out that there are some benefits to it. So I don't know, that's weird. The other thing that I read is Eat the Rich by Sarah Gailey. So this wasn't exactly what I was expecting. It wasn't really zombies, it was more just cannibalism. It starts out just with this girl going to meet her rich boyfriend's family, and things get weirder and weirder from there. I did really like the ending, but I can't really tell you much else about it without spoiling it, because it's kind of, you're following along with this girl as she discovers what's going on in this kind of holiday island that all these rich people go to. And now I'm wondering, will this continue? I would kind of like to get more in this, but I also feel like it kind of wrapped up. So maybe it's done, But really, I want more eating of the rich is what I want from this. So I'd love it to be a series so we can eat more rich people. So yeah, I enjoyed that too. And it had kind of the art style I quite like, where it's quite colourful. And there's just some really good pages along the way. I guess that's all for now. Jason's going to be here momentarily, so I'll catch up with you guys, hopefully, not too far from now.
Pick it up from the top, hit restart. So far it's been so hard to live, but lately something
I am so sad because it is the end of the weekend already, and I'm already feeling like, oh my goodness, I've got so many things to do at work tomorrow, and I'm kind of annoyed that I didn't get more done during the weekend. But also it was sunny most of the weekend, and so we kind of just went for some walks and enjoyed the sunshine, and I'm not sad about having spent my weekend that way. So I guess during the week I'll just have to deal with all the things that I should have done but I ran out of time to do. I mean, probably I was always optimistic about what I could get done this weekend, so whatever. I'm going to try not to let myself get too stressed about going back to work tomorrow and just enjoy the rest of my Sunday evening. So let me catch you up on my reading, things that I did manage to read a little bit of over the weekend. Firstly, I finished off listening to Atomic Habits. I haven't edited this blog yet, so I forget whether I told you I started reading it. I think I did. But anyway, I would say, like, it's a really great book. A lot of the stuff, because I've sort of studied habit forming and systems thinking before, like, it's not new information, but I did find it quite motivational to get my shit back together. And also, like, I need to look up some of the links for just like the key points, because it referred to in the audiobook quite a few times, like, just go to this website and here's the key points that you need to know. And really it's those key points you need to look at as you think about what habits you need to deal with. So definitely a book that I recommend if you're trying to like figure out how to get things done a little bit better, or like if you're struggling to do the things you want to do and with spending too much time doing things you don't want to do. One thing I'm definitely doing too much of lately is watching Instagram reels. I just feel like I get sucked in all the time and I don't want to spend my time that way, so we're going to try and stop that. The other thing that I did read this weekend is I read Whetū and the Magician. So what this turns out to be about is this girl and her mother go to this magician's house because her mother is going to be the magician's assistant, not like a magical assistant, but like a personal assistant managing all his admin stuff that actually he's just been like writing things on random bits of paper and throwing them in a room. So she's going to sort his life out. At the same time, there's kind of this farm there, and Whetū ends up becoming like the animal keeper. And all the animals are kind of magic. My absolute favorite is the chickens. So there's 3,000 chickens, but most of the time they use division to make them into one chicken. They divide by 3,000 chickens, you know, and turn it into one chicken, because 3,000 chickens is a lot to deal with. And I love the way it was described. So many things about the animals were just really fun and enjoyable. And I think that's what it is with this book. Like, in a lot of ways, the writing is very simplistic. I think it's targeted at a very young age, but I don't mind because it's just a lot of fun. And the chapters, I think, like some of the other things I've read by Steph Matuku, the chapters are really short, and so it's just got that pacing where it just keeps going, and I read this so quickly. The only thing that I will say is a little bit weird is there's some conversation at some point about the magician going to be giving a show for the king and queen, and there's a picture at the end. Yeah, there's a picture near the end that kind of implies that it's like a Maori king and queen, but I mean, there is a Maori king. I'm not sure if there's a Maori queen at the moment. But like, that whole concept of royalty is not really a Maori thing. It's a thing they kind of tried to introduce at a certain point to try and have like an equivalent that would match the British royal family in terms of like them being able to negotiate at that level. But it's not like a traditional position, and it's not really a position that's ever talked about or has much real standing. So like, it was kind of weird to have it talked about like it is a thing, but it didn't really say. It just said king and queen, and then I was wondering the whole time, like, what king and queen are we even talking about? But other than that, this was just a lot of fun, and I'm super excited. I'm going to continue with the second book in the series, which I'm also expecting to be a lot of fun, and I really hope there's going to be more in this series, because I think this could just be a lot of fun to read. Anyway, I'll let you know when I've read this what I thought about it. I have also listened to like the first half hour of The Dying of the Light, which is the 9th book in the Skullduggery Pleasant series, and also the final book in this arc. I looked up a little bit more about the rest of the series. So there was like a 3-year gap, and then he continued the series, and everything I've read is kind of like that continuation was never planned. A lot of things about it don't make sense. The writing style is completely different. It's very different in a lot of ways, and I know some people really love it, some people really hate it, and I just think I'm going to end after this 9th book. So it is quite a long one, like 19 hours or something, but I'm going to try and just like blast through it, and then I can tick it off and say I'm done with this series, which I am very happy to be able to say, because like I kind of liked it in the beginning, and there are a few bits where I thought, oh yes, it is back to kind of what I liked about the series. But in general, it's just been like heading downhill for me, really focusing on areas that I'm not interested in, like just, I don't know, the whole direction was not where I would have liked the series to go. But I am happy that at least I'll be able to say that I've finished it off. So I think we'll try and continue this vlog, because I've barely vlogged it all yet, until I've finished this and also The Dying of the Light, and maybe watch Hollow. We'll see how quickly I can get through things. Hello. So I don't think I've updated this vlog in I don't know how long this week. Kind of turned to crap. Like, I got introduced to the second part of my work. Like, there's kind of one thing that I'm focusing on, which is all like process and flow and visibility and stuff that I love. And this other one, which you could kind of phrase the same way, but it's more project management. And I've been getting to know the project, and it's a disaster. And there's so much to get my head around, and just been really overwhelmed by that. So that made me depressed. And then I got my period, which also made me more depressed. And it was raining, and just the last few days have not been my friend. I pretty much just started rewatching Dark because I just needed something to help time pass, because I knew I was depressed, and that if I just waited, time would happen and things would be better. So I've now made it through, but I rewatched some of Dark, and I have been really enjoying that. Like, it's fun to try and pick up on all the clues that I missed the first time around, and also though there's definitely a few things where I'm like, hey, that never got cleared up. So, but anyway, that was really just depression, because I don't normally watch a lot of TV. I don't normally find binging TV to be that enjoyable. What I wanted to be doing was reading and having fun and doing video stuff in my free time, which I'm definitely behind on my video schedule. Who knows when you'll get to see this one. But anyway, reading. I did read some things since I last talked to you. Firstly, I read the second book in the Whetū series. I really hope she'll do some more books in this series, because I just think it's super fun. Like, it's very simply written, and it's not really trying to be anything amazing, but it's just really comforting, and the different farm animals are just kind of funny, and the magical adventures she's going on are very creative. I really like it. In this one, she's kind of going to different worlds, trying to find the missing ram. And I don't know, I really love this series. I think it's so creative. I really, really hope she'll write some more of those books. I need to try and convince some other people to read them. If you like middle grade books, you should read this series. However, it's a New Zealand series, so I don't actually know how easy it would be for a non-New Zealander to get their hands on this series. But anyway, you're missing out, I guess. Also, since I finished that, I did start reading Watch Hollow, but I guess I'm a third of the way through, but really all that's happened so far is they're living in this house that has this magical clock in it after the events of the first book. However, these twins have just shown up with their guardian, and they are apparently the legal heirs of this house, even though the family that's living there also has a legal claim on this house. So now they're trying to work out what the deal is with that. I'm assuming the resolution will be that they all live together and they're happy. Ta-da. But of course, there's still some mysterious stuff happening at this house, which I guess we'll learn along the way. As well, one of the twins, the boy, has like this puppet, or like a doll that's actually a puppet with its strings cut off, and I think something magical is going to be related to that doll as well. But yeah, the last couple of days I actually haven't read any of this, even though I was really enjoying it, but my brain had no space for anything like stories. So hopefully I can read some more later tonight. I have actually today finished work for the day. I worked a little bit this morning because I've got to take some time off on Monday, so I was making up for it. Meant to have Fridays off, but I didn't quite achieve it this week. But I finished work for the day. what I need to do is tidy my house, because being depressed, my house is a mess. But also, just before I got depressed, I started cleaning out a cupboard I have full of cables, and now I have power cables everywhere in different piles and categories, and that's not helping with making things feel tidy. So I've got to do some housework. Also, it's sunny, so I'm going to go for a walk down the road. I need to go and pick something up, and while I do that, I might go to some of the secondhand bookshops that are around where I need to go. And of course, while I go out, I will listen to my audiobook, even though this is another reason why I'm depressed, probably. My audiobook is just not doing it for me. I'm listening to the ninth book of the Skullduggery Pleasant series. I would have just told you just before what it's called, but I've forgotten. It's called The Dying of the Light. And I am so bored. It is a really long audiobook, like 19 hours, 18 hours. Oh, it's expiring soon. I really need to get onto it. It's going to return itself to the library. It's just so boring. And to be honest, it's actually getting into a lot of the things that I've been waiting the whole series for it to get to. But it's doing them in such a boring way. And part of me is really tempted to just like DNF it. But also, like, it's the ninth book. The last book in a 9-book series. So I just need to read it, and then I can say I'm done, and I'll know what actually happened. Like, I wanted to know what was happening with these things. I'm so disappointed in the direction it's gone at the end. And like all these cool ideas that it's set up, and then it's just like doing nothing with them. And I'm sure it will do something with them, but it's just gonna like hide those good bits in amongst a whole bunch of like stuff I don't care about. So this definitely decides I am gonna end Skullduggery Pleasant with book 9. I'm not gonna worry about any of the later books that came out later than that. There's no way I could bring myself to read them. But I guess if I'm going to go out for a walk now and maybe a run later tonight, maybe. Not sure if I'm undepressed enough yet to go for a run, but if I go for a run tonight, then maybe I could bump up the speed and finish it off. I'd really like to. Anyway, the sunshine is calling me. Okay, let's try and quickly film an update before someone comes and parks next to me. I look tired. That is because I had to get up early this morning because I've got a hospital appointment this morning. It's Monday. Somehow it's Monday. And the weather is so bad. I'm sure you can hear the wind. And so I left early so that I wouldn't have to sit in traffic like I did last time I came here. And I'd have some time to like sort myself out before I had to rush into the hospital. I can see the entrance from here. So I'm waiting to see, because last time there was a big queue and I ended up being late for a whole bunch of reasons. Anyway, I wanted to update you. So firstly, I managed to get through the last book in Skullduggery Pleasant. What was it called? The Dying of the Light? Anyway, as expected, I guess I didn't like it. It didn't improve. It just felt like it did so many different things. The plot was all over the place. The ending was very unsatisfying. It's kind of one of these books where there's a prophecy throughout the whole series, and then you're waiting for that prophecy to happen, but you're expecting it to kind of be twisted somewhat, and that's what happened. And the twists weren't that interesting in my opinion, and the character that I was the most interested in through the second half of the series got a pretty shit deal, in my opinion. And just, yeah, I don't know. And I looked it up on Goodreads, and it has an average rating of 4.6. What the fuck? I don't know what these people are thinking. I actually had to go on and look up a bunch of 1- and 2-star reviews, of which there are some, to make myself feel better about the fact that I only gave it 2 stars. Like, I don't know. I enjoyed the beginning of that series, but as time went on, I got less and less interested. And I think it's just because it was trying to be this really expansive world with all these characters, and I just could not get interested in all those characters. I think I would have liked the series a lot better if it had been much more focused and much shorter. But apparently lots of other people like it, even though part of me wonders if they have just convinced themselves that they liked it. I don't know if I would have liked it as a kid. It's hard to know. Anyway, the other thing that I have been reading is Watch Hollow, The Alchemist Shadow. This, I'm just past halfway. Is there someone watching me from behind me? I can't tell. So I'm past halfway. I am not loving this as much as the first book. Like, it's okay, but this Minotaur has appeared, and now they're kind of like in this labyrinth type situation. And I miss kind of the whimsical feeling of the first book. I miss the clockwork animals. They're kind of in there, but like not in the way they were in the first book. I think there's just like less heartwarming moments than there were in the first book, and I can almost see there's a few bits where it's trying, but it's not connecting with me, and maybe that's just my mental state. Anyway, I'm going to take this to the hospital and try and finish it during my appointment. So we'll see how I manage, I guess. So I've made it to the end of the day. I'm kind of tired, but I also feel like maybe after all of this, I'm kind of getting to the point with work where I'm on top of things again. I don't know if that will last, but like at least now I kind of understand what's going on. There may be some surprises still, but hopefully at least going forward, my brain will have some more space in it for non-work things, so I can move on from these easy books that I was trying to read for like the last week. Well, it was meant to be a week, but actually ended up being 2 weeks. And I really have no idea how long this vlog is because I feel like I haven't updated very often, but also it's been quite a long time period, so who knows? Hopefully you haven't been here too long, but hopefully it hasn't been completely boring. Anyway, I did manage to finish Watch Hollow while I was at my infusion yesterday. To be honest, I skimmed it a little bit because I was kind of bored. I just think I really loved the first book and how magical it was and the way that it dealt with these children's emotions, whereas this one I felt like was trying a lot more to be more action-packed, and like there's this monster chasing the children through this labyrinth for most of the book, and that action stuff just generally doesn't interest me, and like even when they were trying to figure out what was going on, it wasn't very logical, so it wasn't very interesting to me. I really don't know how a kid would feel about this, but I was disappointed compared to the first book. And also, the last little section kind of implied that there is going to be a third book, which I'm not against, but I hope that it will be more like the first book than this one was. So in the end, I think of all the easy books that I picked, my favorite was probably the Whetū books. I did also like Junji Ito's Cat Diary, but I probably mostly like the first half and then I got a bit bored. I'm trying to remember what else I've read in this period. I don't think I have enough brain to remember that. Oh, I think I was mostly slogging through Skullduggery Pleasant on audiobook. So I think there were definitely a few which I didn't love as much as I was hoping, and those were hard to get through, especially I think because I was struggling with work as well. So easy books only really work out to be easy if you're enjoying them. Still, I don't know if I could have been properly engaged in any other book at the moment, so I'm glad that I went with these easier ones. And anyway, hopefully I will be able to focus on some more difficult books in the upcoming weeks. Because even though easy books are nice sometimes, I think too many easy books gets a little bit boring. Anyway, I'm going to go and have some dinner, get some sleep, and I will catch you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're doing well. This is not how I normally end a video. What I normally say is, do let me know if you've read any of the books that I read in this video, because I would love to talk with you about them down in the comments. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you next time.